Hello, welcome back to Her Shift. This is the podcast where we shift our beliefs so we can have a goddamn better life. And who would not want that? I am your host, Anna, and this week we have got the amazing Amelia Jackson, who is actually going to guest in the studio today. Whenever I invite a guest on Her Shift, I don't like to talk to them ages before. I don't like to prep them. I don't like to give them a formula or even a structure. I like to keep it real. I like to keep it raw. And all I can say is this episode is very real or very raw. It talks about massive life shifts with Amelia, with her life, and how what goes on behind the scenes is completely different to what you see out there and to the judgments that we might have made on others. We all do it. And this is a great conversation. This is a great story. So enjoy. Welcome back to Her Shift. I'm not alone today. For anyone who has followed before, and I've been going on about guests and guests for ages, and as I've mentioned previously, I get lots of people going, I want to be on the podcast, I've got something to say, I want to talk about my shift. And it's not like they ghost me, but then they get a little bit, I think they get a little bit scared. Someone actually showed up today. This is Amelia.
Hello.
And what I'm loving is the fact that I've said to Amelia when you arrived, I've never actually interviewed a person on a podcast in person before. It's normally in a different time zone in a different part of the world. So this is intimate, isn't it? It's like, hi, it's real, it's everything. For those of you on YouTube, Amelia, she works in the beauty industry too. She is a hairdresser. I think you can tell. So suddenly I felt the pressure to actually brush my hair. Make a little bit more effort. The reason that I've got Amelia on is we're always talking about the shift, the journey, and I've known Amelia now for, I think, when was it? 2012 we might have done.
Yeah, probably,
something like that. You obviously, you know each other, but you don't hang around in the same social circles, but the view you have of each other is everything you see on social media. And go, oh, she's doing this, she's doing that. You're getting married, having babies, this and this and this and this. We've got some stories there, haven't we? Like with how we've met each other along the line. And then recently, I was like, something's changed with Amelia. Something shifted on her social media. I think she's changed. Something's up. In a good way, in a really, really good way. I was like, I want to talk to her. I want to know what's going on. I want to hear all the tea. And as you know, when I've done these interviews before, I don't speak much to Amelia before. She comes in, I want to know what's really happening in real time, so it's organic and it's real and it's raw, because that's how we like it. So, Amelia.
Here we go.
Should we say about how we met and all the time? So, obviously, I'm sort of coming to the end of my makeup artist career. It makes me feel really old. But when I first set up my business in the North East, and I'd just come, I'd spent most part of my career in London. Came back to the North East because I had my first child and I wanted her to be raised where I was. I started trying to get into magazine shoots in the North East, which were few and far between at the time, let's say. In London, is it?
No.
And Amelia was one of the gorgeous hairdressers on one of the early shoots that I did. It was big on bridal, wasn't it?
Yeah. We used to do a lot with bridal hair at the time. And the same, we were just trying to get our name out there for the bridal hair, really, by going in anyone that would have us.
Yeah, it was literally, you would just work for free, wouldn't you?
Yeah, all for free.
All for free. And it was literally, in this part of the world, it was just bridal. Yeah. And it was also a trend when a lot of people were starting bridal publications.
Yeah.
They make money on the advertising, by the way. That's how they do it.
Not by us.
No, not by us. So, and then from there it was like, oh, started to see you around, and then we do a few more shoots, and then if someone needed a hairdresser for a wedding or if someone needed a makeup artist, we would swap. I think I did your makeup a few times for events. Then came COVID. Can you tell about
that? So COVID, we were meant to have got married, and obviously the restrictions and everything meant that we were rescheduling it, and then I found out that I was pregnant, so I didn't want to reschedule it because that would mean I'd have a 6-week-old baby. But the vicar had rang me on the Saturday and said, I can marry you on Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday because we're going into the second lockdown on the Thursday. So I was just like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And so obviously not what you know, but who you know. I think I sent you a text like, hi, would you be available on Wednesday morning to do my wedding makeup?
Yeah, but then you hadn't told me you were pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
So you had your dress on, I remember. And I was like, and it's like, it wasn't doing up at the back, was it? I didn't want to say anything, but I was like, it's very common though that time. A lot of people just getting on with life and having babies.
Well, that was it, wasn't it? And you look back now, you think, oh, it was just, well, what even was it? But anyway.
So you were literally, so met your partner, got engaged, got pregnant, got married, and then got pregnant again really, really quickly, didn't you?
Really quickly. So my youngest was about 4 months old. Sorry, my eldest now, but my baby was about 4 months old when I fell pregnant. And people always say, like, did you plan it? And we did, really. Like, we knew we wanted more than one child, and we would just... I think because of like lockdown and the way life had been presented to us, we were just like, oh, we'll just go for it. But that wasn't probably as plain sailing as I thought. Like, there's 13 months between the boys, and it was really, really tough. When I first had Bertie, I just thought it was easy. And then the second came along, and obviously having two babies. So when we brought Laurie home from the hospital, Bertie was like 15 months. He was 13 months old. He didn't walk until he was 15 months. So I had like 8 weeks of like these two babies. I mean, I look back at photos now and I'm just like, oh, they were babies. And that was the hardest thing I've ever done. It hit me really hard. You know,
because I think COVID brought out people either went two ways. It was like the fuck it attitude. Right, I'm getting on with life. This is what matters. I'm not, what am I waiting for? This and this. And I also think the style of weddings changed during that time. People were like not as bothered.
Absolutely,
they were just, you know, what mattered to them, which was a good thing. And then there were people that went the other way and actually became more scared than they were before and more shy of life.
Well, that was the main reason, because we were actually going to go ahead with the wedding, but it was when they had that 30 people limit. And when we then started speaking to family, like the grandparents were a bit like, we're not comfortable with coming, and then it just was a bit like, oh, okay. And obviously we'd spent so much money, and then there was a bit of a glimmer of us getting a bit of money back, which was great because we put an extension on the house.
Yes, there you go.
with the money that was saved. So but yeah, like I obviously working in the wedding industry,
it was shit.
Yeah. But I went to so many like wedding fairs and so many mornings of weddings, and I had this image in my mind of what my wedding was going to be like. I was so desperate. Like a year before, I was dreaming about this wedding. But you know what? I am so grateful, so grateful how it happened, because we got married because we loved each other and we wanted to be married. We wanted to do that at the beginning of starting a family. Obviously, I was pregnant, but I just feel like I'm grateful that we didn't spend all of the money that, you know, and like I said.
That's like an amazing like reverse hindsight, because most people, obviously, if they get married first and then they have children and they go, I can't believe I spent that on a wedding. I always say that when and with people that have had their kids or one child first, they're so different for the wedding and the priorities change so much.
Absolutely. And I think I tried to see the positive in everything. And COVID was a really tough time. But for me, I'd worked in the hairdressing salon from being 14. So I'd never had longer than like 2 weeks off work from leaving school. I went full time. So it really gave me an opportunity to take a step back from running the salon. And then obviously I went full pelt into the baby thing. But that's just me, like everything's full pelt. And then I didn't actually, after having my second, Laurie, I didn't actually go back to the salon that obviously you knew me from. And I took the plunge to go self-employed. But again, I think in a way that was my struggle after having my second. And I just had completely lost myself. Like I look at pictures now and I do not recognise myself.
Is this I would say your start of your shift.
Yeah, very. Yeah. I would say this is the beginning, most definitely. I Yeah.
So I would say, like, from obviously we all judge each other on social media because that's all we see. It's like, I always say it's like a modern day version of Keeping Up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
When it was Keeping Up with the Joneses, i.e. the next door neighbours, we would see the flash car and we'd see them go off to work, but we'd also hear them have rows.
Yeah.
And we'd also occasionally see things weren't quite right. We don't have that anymore.
No.
We see the curated narrative now that anyone wants us to see.
Yeah.
And why is anyone going to put their struggles out there? Of course I'm not going to. So from what I could see, when I met Amelia as well, you were a manager, weren't you, of that salon? You're from like a hairdressing dynasty. So there's a few salons. And you said you started very, very young and you worked your way up and you were...
Yeah, so 19 when I was manager.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, so I saw that in you. I was like, yeah, you were just very hardworking, work-focused. And it was almost like, I think she's just going to work. And then it was like, no, I'm going to have kids now. Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Like that. And then I saw you again when things started to get back to normal. But like I said, the next time I saw you, you weren't in your family salon. You were freelancing with a renter.
Rent a chair.
Rent a chair. And I would say, Amelia, when I would come in and do occasional makeup trials, because I don't how many weddings am I doing these days? Far and few between. But occasionally on a Monday or something, I would come in and I would see Amelia. And you would just be run off your feet though, wouldn't you? You were cramming it all in.
Yeah, because I went self-employed when Laurie was 5 months old. And I think it was just because I'd completely lost my identity and I was really struggling that I was like, right, okay, I need to go back to work. And so let's go self-employed, with these two extremely small children. And so I was working like 1 or 2 days a week. So I was just cramming as many people in as I could. Because obviously I couldn't really work more than that with the children. I would say that was definitely the beginning of the shift.
Like I said, when I saw you, it can be quite lonely when you're in that place on your own. Yeah. And it was always like, oh, Amelia's, that's great. And even though she would always be super busy, but sometimes, get a few words in and hear what was going on. And like I said, I was like, you just didn't seem the same person at all. And did you say that, how did you find like having 2 young children but also so close together? Because like having a baby does hit you.
I think when I had my first, he was like textbook baby, so he absolutely lured me in.
Oh, they always are.
He was like, like in his 12 weeks sleeping through, and I just was like, I don't know what all the fuss is about. Yeah. I had a great labour with him.
I was the same,
and I just was like, don't know what the fuss is about. Loved it. Yeah, this is at that time I think I thought was my calling. This is what I'm meant to be doing. Obviously had another, and it was so unbelievably hard. I mean, if we go to the nitty gritty, there was days when I most definitely wasn't getting a wash or a shower, and I was ending up brushing my teeth in the sink downstairs in the kitchen because it was so difficult leaving them downstairs to go back upstairs. I went to a networking thing a couple of weeks ago, and I told this story, and I'm happy if you don't want to share this. So I went for my smear so Laurie will have been about, I don't know, 6 months old maybe. Maybe he's not even as old as that. And no, he can't have been as old as that, sorry, because I wasn't back at work. But I went for my smear. I said to my husband, you need to be home at this time because I've got this, And I wanted him to have come home early so that then I could have gone and got a shower and whatever. Anyway, work commitments, he couldn't. He came in, I got in the car, went to the doctor's, sat in the waiting room, just full of anxiety thinking, I don't know the last time I had a wash. Like I literally did not know. And I went in and I literally burst out crying. And I said to the nurse, I actually said to her, I don't know the last time I washed my fanny, was exactly what I said. And I was crying. And I think this is for me when I started noticing like the universe and what it was doing for me, because that nurse was 2 years on from where I was at the time. So she had 2 children, 14 months apart, and she was like two years on from it. And she gave me a massive hug and she just said, that doesn't matter. Like, and we talked. and she said, I'm not meant to do this, but I'd really like to book you an appointment to see the doctor. Which I did go the following day, and that's when they put me, they spoke to me about me going on antidepressants. I've always suffered with mental health, like up and down over the years. And I've done counselling, which was amazing. I've done loads of different things, but I don't know why, but I felt like the antidepressants were me failing.
Right. I think a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it is, which is a stigma that shouldn't be there, which is why I openly talk about it, like at work with my clients and stuff. So I didn't take the tablets then, and I probably lasted another month, and then I went to the doctors and literally just said, give me anything.
Yeah.
And sertraline definitely changed my life because it took away the overwhelm, and then the boys got a bit older and things started to get a little bit easier. And then that's when I would say I felt this big shift in that I knew that I love being a mum, but that isn't my calling.
Yeah.
Whether that is something that people will be like, ooh, but I truly believe that I'm here to do much more than that, and I want to be the mother that my children look up to, as in, you know, she's hard working, she's this, that, like this powerhouse of a woman. Not no disrespect to someone who doesn't work, because I think that, well, I take my hat off. I couldn't do it. I'll be honest, I couldn't. I couldn't. I think that's the hardest job in the world, and part of me feels like when I went back to work when Laurie was so young, although it was only like 1 or 2 days a week, I think I was probably taking the easy option, because going back to work was all I'd ever known, and actually looking after these 2 children was such hard work. It gave me that break in the middle. So I absolutely take my hat off to anybody who does stay at home with the children.
Do you know, I always look at it primarily because I felt similar things. I mean, there was a phase, because I was so unhappy when I had both my children for obviously other things, and I was in a really shit marriage and everything. And I also thought I wasn't given the opportunity to have maternity leave. Yeah. So therefore, I didn't embrace it. I was like, well, I don't want to have it anyway. Yeah. I'm just going to go straight, you know. And I just don't know, would I have liked it or not? But so I think I was just very like, go on, this is easy. It, obviously, if I'd had my second, if he'd been first, well, that would have been it, you know. It's always that way. But I always think primarily we're tasked with like, so I'm very much into obviously the universe, the moon, all that affects cycles, definitely. Everything like that. Now I know primarily in the wild, in a tribe, obviously, I would not have been a birth giver. I would not have been the person I would not have been the nurturer. I would have been like the warrior, warrior one who would have been like protecting the children, teaching the children. Yeah, that's the thing. Going out, supporting the other hunters, you know, and you know. Like I would have been, and then when the moon's, you know, when the predators are out and the moon's high, I would have been on the outskirts of the tribe, making sure I would have been that person running the show, making sure everything is safe. Because I know full well, because obviously with both my children, if I'd have given birth without the means of a hospital, I would have died both times. So I struggled with both my pregnancies, which then leads me to believe that I just wasn't built for it. Yeah. You know, I do think there are some women who, you know, when they can like pop out 10 children and they love it and they want that. I thought, you are built for that.
Well, so with Bertie, like I had the most amazing pregnancy, I had the most amazing labour. I'd done hypnobirthing. I had the most amazing labour. And I think that's when I thought this was my calling, to have had this amazing pregnancy and to have had an amazing birth. I quote, said, oh, I can't wait to do that again. I didn't say that the second time. I absolutely did not say that the second time. But it's I think the other thing is, as a part of the story that I've missed, so our first son Bertie was born with a limb difference, and we didn't know that, so it didn't show up on the scans or anything like that. So when they do the scans, they check the length of their legs but not their arms.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so they check for digits. So if the baby has 5 digits, they then don't do any further investigation. So Bertie has only developed his right arm to probably about sort of quite a bit above you, halfway between your elbow and your wrist. But he has what we call nubbins. 5 little nubbins. So on the scan,
I love that word.
yeah, I
Nubbins.
do. I love it. But so on the scan, they obviously counted the 5 nubbins. So when he was born, and the labour was like, it was really good, and I enjoyed it, and I breathed him out, and I actually did. In my romanticising everything, he was going to be pulled out of me and then put onto my chest. But they took him because obviously they saw his arm. So it was actually really traumatic, a really traumatic birth. But I never actually took that trauma from it, because when they actually did bring him to me, like wrapped in a little blanket, my husband's face, I mean, I knew obviously something was wrong, and he couldn't really get his words out, and he was crying, and you know. And when they brought him over, there was a lot of people in the room, and they said, "Oh, your baby's been born with an abnormality." That was the word.
And you just don't know what other things that it means at that point.
And so I said, well, the first thing that came out of that, well, can I have him? I felt like they wouldn't. I want him. So then I had him, and then I said, "Oh, what's the matter?" And then they showed me his little hand. That's what we call it. And I just was like, okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Is that it?
Yeah, is that it? Like, he's our baby. Like, he's been, and the universe, that boy was given to us for a reason, and everybody said it. Like, I know people who, had that have been their child, they would not have coped. Like, as in, and when I say that, what I mean is they wouldn't have given the child the best, like, I don't know what I mean. The best. I just feel like we have given this child the most confidence. Like, the kid just does everything.
Do you think there's a level of tough love in there, like you do with Paralympians?
100%. I mean, he was like...
He's saying, we're not going to make a thing of this.
Oh, yeah, what? Yeah. And it is not a thing. I mean, he's just on Sunday learnt to ride his bike without stabilisers. No adaptation on, like, his arm or anything.
Whereas you think that other people would be like, just for anything they did wrong or their behaviour, you've got, I'll let them get away with it.
Very, you know, and when he started school, you know, a couple of family members are sort of like, oh, you're going to sort of go in and speak to the teacher. No, I mean, when he was like 9 months old and I took him to nursery, I forgot to mention. And then it was just when I was dropping him off, I suddenly thought, they're going to take his coat off.
Oh.
so then I was like, oh, I just...
crack on then, you know.
Yeah, I know. So I think that shows the character of, like, me, my husband, of how we are. But flip that on, having Laurie just 13 months later and being in that environment was actually really traumatic. And after he was born, like, he did get put on me and all of that, I was shaking that much.
You were worried that there was
well, it wasn't that. I just think I hadn't actually processed it. I hadn't. And we'd never really massively, like, me and my husband, never really gone into depth about what, you know, what the moments of what had happened. And I just went into this shock. I was sick. Like, it was off the scale. And I actually just said, like, I need a minute. And I went and got a bath on my own and really cried. And I think that was the first time. And maybe it was having this, you know, perfectly formed, if perfect's the word we're going for, but, you know, healthy baby. And it just bringing everything back from, you know, from Bertie. And I think another reason why we had another baby so quick is that I knew that I wanted him to have a sibling because of his arm.
Yeah.
Like, whether that's rightly or wrongly, I mean, we always knew we wanted more than one child, but would we have done it so soon? Maybe not. It was just like, I need him to have, you know, strength in numbers. Yeah, but actually, the character that he is, absolutely, he'd have been fine on his own. He'd have been quite happy.
I don't feel, though, that the whole birth trauma or... I hate the way it's just so glazed over. Oh, I gave birth last week, you know, and mother and baby doing well. And I'm like, can we stop downplaying it? Like,
I am an absolute realist with that. Like, when clients come in the salon and they're pregnant and it's their last appointment before having baby, I'm like, serious chat. You are going to feel like shit. You are going to question love for the baby at some point, probably on day 3.
Yeah.
You know, like, you your partner's going to do your head in, your parents, your in-laws, everyone's going to do your head in.
Everything's going to hurt.
Yeah.
You're going to be sleep deprived.
Yeah.
You're going to feel disgusting.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
And you won't recognise your body.
Because nobody really, I don't know, everyone's just like, oh, you're having a baby.
You don't need to even talk about it, because it's like, by saying, you know, about your body being different or everything changing, go, you should just be grateful you've had a baby.
Yeah.
Or that you're so lucky to have a baby. Think
Yeah.
about all these people that, you know, and I'm just like, it's really heavy. And think how much we've adapted in society and the world, and all the things we do in our life to make it easy. We haven't really done that with giving birth. There isn't an easy way of doing it. Yes, there's pain relief, obviously. But so therefore it hits us, I think, even harder. Like we're not outdoorsy people anymore.
Well, I was really grateful for not having a section. That was my biggest thing, because that again, the whole section thing, that is a major operation. Why does no one call it an operation?
Right,
it really is an operation.
So I said I've done it both ways. Went natural with my first, with Kate, and it went completely wrong, and I lost loads of blood. So that just went completely shit. And I was like, I'm just rubbish at this. And because it went so bad, with my second, with Griff, I had to have a section. And the girl next to me, bless, so I was 35 when I had Griff, and the girl in the bed next to me was 17. So everyone in that ward had obviously had C-sections that day, and she literally, by that evening, she got out of bed and she was bouncing. I want to go home now. And I was like, I was like, I'm in so much pain right now. I felt like it was really hard. And then, like I said, if you've had like layers and layers of surgery, and I literally, here's your baby. Now look after that baby. Do everything that you were doing before. Crazy. And you've got another child, and you've got a dipstick husband to look after. And and it's just,
that was my biggest thing, of just grateful for not having a section. Because again, I think that's another, you know, people, oh, did you have the baby natural? Oh, you had a section. And it's like, I actually think if there's no complications, having a natural birth is probably easier recovery.
Yes, because it's
most definite than
the body does what it's supposed to do. It releases doesn't it, hormones and pheromones at the right time, and it's like healing quality. Effectively having the baby cut out of you, probably the body gets really confused at what's going on.
I was definitely grateful for that. I went off on a tangent there.
No, it is. I think it's like one of those huge. It's a huge shift in a woman's life, the biggest shift.
Yeah.
But we're just told to totally downplay it, because everyone does it. Everyone has kids, and you should be grateful. But some women are just so much better at it.
Yeah.
Some people are just better for it.
Like, I love one quote that I have used since becoming a parent. Again, it's a bit controversial. Is that it's miserable and magical all rolled into one, because there's always glimmers, and especially having two.
So like the magic, and
so my quote for parenting has been that it's miserable and magical all rolled into one. Like, there's these glimmers, and having the two boys so close together, you know, it's glimmers. It's tough. If one of them's happy, the other one's not. Like, but then they'll be like, for instance, this morning, I put my running stuff on, the boys were on the bikes, we went to school, and in that moment, I'm like, yeah. And, you know, like on a night, we've always had like a proper bedtime routine, and it's never differed. And like reading them a book in bed, and like there's all them magical like moments. But then I'm a realist, and I will be honest and say, like, it is miserable. Like, it's not for the faint-hearted. I am fortunate now that I am in such a better place, but I know that there's so many women who probably take years to get out of that. I would say it was probably when it was, because my second was born on my birthday as well.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he wasn't actually due. He was 2 weeks early.
Right, so that's very... Yeah.
So he was born on my birthday, and anybody who knows me knows how much of a fuss I've always made of my birthday. And so it was
having a birthday?
Normally would go on for a week, but obviously I now no longer have a birthday.
Right, yeah, it's been hijacked, hasn't it?
Yeah. So Laurie's first birthday, I decided we'd have a big party at the house, and then this is when the old like self-sabotage started coming in. So my self-sabotage has always been alcohol, although I just didn't realise it. So Laurie's first birthday party obviously had far too much to drink. We had all our friends were there with their kids, and it was a joint party.
Yeah.
But then I ended up not being a kids' party anymore, and it was my party, and I drank too much. Then I'm hungover the next day, and then I would probably say for the next 12 months after that, I spent a few weekends, maybe 2 weekends a month, being hungover and trying to parent two kids being hungover. And it was just because I thought that was just like what I'd always done, like going out and that social side of things. And
you want to keep that going.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose myself, so I'm going to keep,
And I knew I'd lost myself. So I was like, right, so how do I get myself back? I just go back to do what I was doing prior. But then I suppose given the timeline of like lockdown and stuff like that, maybe that wasn't prior. Maybe it's like that going out and all that was actually like 2019. And then we're like in 2023 at this point. And do you know what I mean? Like things had changed. And then I would say, like, without giving you my life story, I've had just a weird 5 years. My dad got diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So I was caring for him when the boys were really small. He was living in a flat round the corner from us. So we battled on for a few months of us putting the boys to bed, me putting my pyjamas on, driving round to my dad's, getting him sorted for bed. It was intense. And then my dad went into a nursing home, which he's in now, which was the biggest relief ever. And another, could go off on a massive tangent, another thing about getting, at the time, I was nearly 32 and had to make the decision to put my dad in a nursing home. Like, what? He got diagnosed with Alzheimer's at 70.
Right.
So, that's not something that you think you're going to do. So I really tried to keep him at home for as long as possible. We had carers going in. I was going in. It was too much. I had the 2 children.
Yeah.
Like, there's no wonder I ended up on antidepressants.
Yeah, that sounds like carers burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Just looking after everybody else and that has always been part of my personality as well, is that I always, as that friend who's checking in on people, and I've always put everybody before myself. And when I did 18 months of counselling, and that was one of the things that I used to talk about with my counsellor, is I had these 10 friends, right? Or 10 people who, my thing is getting in the bath. So on a night, I used to think that was me doing something for myself. So, okay, I'm going to do something. I'm going to have a bath. Get in the bath, I think, right, have I spoke to so-and-so? It's been 4 days since I spoke to so-and-so. Haven't spoke to so-and-so. Must check in on that. How did that go for this person? And I would, and then when I was doing my counselling and I told her of this thing that I would do in the bath, she said to me, well, she didn't, but that is unhealthy, So when I stopped doing that, them 10 people quite sharpishly went down to 6.
I was going to say, did it
dwindle? And then I would say now I'm in a completely different place, that I don't ever feel that need to, I don't feel that need to, I don't mean check in on people. I don't mean it quite like that.
But you're not like, because I always wonder with people who've got really big friendship groups, I'm like, there's got to be a linchpin.
Yeah.
And that was you.
Yeah.
If you remove that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It becomes more organic.
Yeah. And I think that's it, isn't it? Like, I now, for the first time ever, which is crazy because I've become a parent. In the mix of all this, I've opened a business, a salon and a business hub and all that, and got so much going on. But it's the first time in my life that I can actually hand on heart say, I am putting myself first. And that could sound selfish to some people, especially because I'm a mother. But that's my bit of a mission at the minute, is that self-love and self-care are 2 different things. And that if you do not have the self-love, then you can't expect anybody else to love you.
No.
And then also you can't be the best. If you're not like for you, yourself, the best version of how you want to be, or, doing what makes you feel good, then you won't be good for other people, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. It's a really hard. It was like my thing as well. Like in levels of, I would say, self-worth, I just didn't have any. It was knocked out of me from a very young age. But I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because I'd never had it. So I was just a case of, well, you're not allowed to think about yourself. You're not allowed to care about yourself. You're not allowed to have wants, needs, desires.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I'd be like, oh, woe me. I just thought that was normal.
And there's so many people that, you know, that are in that. I think the other thing, it's like reflecting. When, as women, do we ever sit down and truly reflect on ourselves, our life, where we are, you know, where our self-love is? Do we have self-worth? Do we?
Yeah.
And that was, so fast forwarding this crazy story, like the last few years obviously have been intense. The 2 children, changing my job that I'd obviously had forever, going self-employed, my dad getting being diagnosed with Alzheimer's, grief, my stepdad passed away, my granddad passed away, like key, you know, figures in my life. We lost a friend, which, wow, like, and I would say that was the last straw for me. When we lost our friend, that was the biggest turning point.
I was just going to say from outside of that circle, viewing in, and I hope it's okay for me to say, so it was somebody, it was a war, assault, and it had a young family, and it was mental health, wasn't it? Yeah. And you then, I think I could see that, took on that role of looking after everyone, didn't you? You're like, right, I'm gonna make sure they're okay. And you did a lot of fundraising, and there's like a trust, is it a memorial's been set up? Like
so my husband's best friend, and like really close with them, because we had the children at the same time. So they had twins the same time I had Bertie, and then they had a little boy the same time that we had Laurie. So we you know, we were in the trenches together, like, and so really, really close. But I think for me, that was the biggest turning point of, like, I've struggled with mental health, and I've been in dark places. Never quite obviously that dark. However, I kind of thought to myself, like, you know, you've got options, haven't you? Like, with our friend, it was very, very different circumstance, because it was PTSD and all the rest of it. Very, very different. Whereas I've never been to war, you know, I've had a lot of shit, but I just feel like you've got to find the strength and take the strength from somewhere. And I think, like, beginning of 2025, I just thought, like, yeah, there's got to be more to life than just managing or just bumbling along. You know, I wanted that fire back in my belly. And I actually started with, she doesn't like to call herself a life coach, but I started with a girl, and I would say a life coach, because she has coached me into completely changing my life. And I was in like her monthly membership, and it was just 1 hour a month on Zoom, which was for me, and it was reflecting, and it was journaling. And then I started journaling, and that was an absolute, oh really?
They're all my journals.
Wow, that's amazing. But yeah, so I started journaling. I think that was a massive game changer. And then obviously started looking into like different things. I started going to a sound bath every month, and, you know, sort of taking the self-care to like a different sort of level.
We need to reword self-care.
We do.
I don't like it. It's too,
No.
I don't know why I don't like it. It just,
well, another thing that I always say is like the self-care or the self-love. It's not selfish, like,
no.
But I think when we say that self, straight away your brain thinks selfish. So do you know,
I try to always, so to get my head around things, is I try to think, how can I relate to another person that either experiences that or is that? So when I think about people that I want to be like, and they're always like, really personable, strong, confident women. They're like the Samantha Jones of Sex and the
Yeah.
City, who've got so much self-love
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
themselves. They're
yeah.
not cocky. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They're just
Yeah.
like, I love myself. And
Yeah.
and we don't go like, oh God, that's hard. We're like, oh, that's amazing. And equally, I also view people that are, I would say, negative,
Yeah.
unhappy,
Yeah.
spewing out vitriol and hate.
Yeah.
There is no
And
self-love
I think,
there at
no,
all.
I think the self-love, it comes from within. And it's like, this was my hair curled yesterday. It's dropped on that side. Like, I brushed it this morning, went to work. I wear very minimal makeup. I don't have a massive wardrobe full of clothes. Like, it just doesn't make me tick. But it's all the other stuff. And it's not like, oh, I don't think that anybody could say, oh, she loves herself in that sense, which is, I think, when I first started this journey, was my biggest worry. Now I really don't care what people think. And I'm just being true to myself. Like, I am, for the first time in my life, being so true to myself. And I said to you earlier, if I go to post something on social media and if that inner voice comes in and thinks, oh God, what will people say? I actually grab that and think, no, I'm going to post it. I want people to look at it and go like, what the fuck is she doing?
Yeah.
You know, whether they see that as like, who does she think she is? But I'm me.
Do you know, there's like two things that really helped me with that is I've realised that the only people that will criticise you really are like they won't ever do what you're doing, they won't ever push themselves. They are like there's no one who's achieved something, been successful like you're. So I'm going to be in the top 10 of podcasts. Do you think I'm going to look down and go, look at that shitty podcast?
No. That's like it. That. No, so of course.
So there's that. And then also I remember this. So when I was starting to do more content and I started to do advertising, branding, that sort of thing. So I was making a bit more money as an influencer in That's a dangerous position to be in, by the way, because obviously you get a lot of personal comments about your looks. Would not recommend. 10 out of 10. But I feel like and we've said like we've let people in our groups drift. Now the biggest change for me was when I got divorced. You really do find out. People will pick sides no matter what. And I was literally painted as the Scarlet Woman, the problem, the one who didn't want an easy life. And I had a friend who was friends with the wider circle. And, you know, we always say, oh, what other people think of you is none of your business. But God, we want to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they came back to me with all the tea, what had been said. And the main thing, I remember this line and it was, God, she proper loves herself, as in a negative.
Yeah.
And I remember it didn't hit me hard. It was like there was lots of things that weren't true and made me laugh about just like basically I was this Scarlet Woman of our town. I'm like, when do you think I go out? Like literally, when do you like? I know my life looks exciting, you know. Like when I do someone's makeup, I don't then go to the Oscars afterwards. I go home, I get a cup of tea, and the beautiful women that I hang around with, I'm just painting their faces. I don't go out with them anyway. And I was like, and that's a bad thing. Like she proper loves herself.
Yeah, that's and actually. This is another thing that I say all the time, that reflects more on the person who said it. Because if somebody isn't in the position that I'm in, where you know, you've truly been authentic to yourself and you are just living your best life, being you, and that's how it is, and I don't care whether people like it or they don't, it doesn't affect me. But when you are in a position where you do wonder what people think, you worry about what people think, you're bothered about what people think, that's when you make them comments.
Yeah.
It totally is. I would say now, I mean, I've always been into like women supporting women and empowering each other, and like, you know, I've always loved actually, I don't know what, might have been 2016, I set up a business forum in the village where the salon was, and it was a bit of a joke at the time amongst friends, but it was Great Ayton, a little village, and they would say, oh, she thinks she's the mayor of Great Ayton. But it never stopped me from doing it because I was enjoying what I was doing and I was making a difference. And I was what I was actually doing was a hell of a lot more than anybody else.
And at that moment, you've got to, but who is actually the person saying that, or people? And what do they mean to you?
Yeah.
And do you really want to, is that what you
Yeah.
want? Where it's like, there should only be very few people whose actual opinion that you
of
care
course.
about.
And I mean, I must say, like, my husband, so we've been together, what, about 12 years? And
Is it that long?
yeah.
I remember you starting dating.
Yeah. And he is like, oh, I mean, I think he's loving the fact that I'm like back to, well, I'm better than I've ever been. But he does laugh because I'm like, oh, so like tonight, finishing work at 7:30, then I'm going to be a guest on a podcast. Yeah, okay. Didn't even blink. The other day, he rang me. I was like, oh, I'm going on a Zoom call. He was like, oh, what's this for? I was like, oh, about writing a book. He was like, and he started laughing. He said, oh, I can't take you seriously now. He said, when are you fitting that in? I was like, oh, no, I don't mean now. It's on my manifesting, you know. I'm just putting myself out there. And he's just like, okay, you do you. I'm like, yeah, oh, I'm doing me. I'm doing me. Absolutely.
It's like I've never known like that level of support until the last few years, I'd say. And it's like, so when I hear someone else talking about it, I'm like, oh, that is so nice. The fact that it's like, I'm not like, they're not going to do it themselves. My other half's never going to. He's going to come on a podcast.
But the thing is, like, my husband wouldn't be that. Well, no, you know what? He actually probably would, but he just supports whatever I do. He's like, you just go for it.
And I love it when like they ask actually questions about it. Like they actually genuinely are interested.
Yeah.
And it's, I always get a little bit. It's like, oh, I've listened to your episode. I'm like, have you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, right. And then I got, oh, what was it like, you know? But yeah, just to have that, I suppose it's unconditional support, isn't it?
And I think, so like after in the beginning of like 2025, starting with this coach, and obviously then I bought the Manifest book by Roxy Nafusi.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Right. Okay. So, because we do a lot of books on this.
Okay.
I don't actually have physical books. The only physical books I have are in there. It's all Audible.
Yeah.
But I have like I wouldn't say like a side podcast where we like do book. Books and we work through them. And obviously massively into manifestation, spiritual, self-development.
Oh, I've got so many good recommendations.
Absolutely love it. I'm going to say I really struggled with Roxy.
Did you?
Yeah.
So I've read it twice because I read it the first time and I then had to come back to it and not do the chapters necessarily in order, as in like the order of the book, because it feels when you start reading it that it has to be done in like, but it isn't. You can just do it in. But I read the book and it really sparked something with like the manifesting thing, and then a lot of what I was doing with my coach, like doing the life wheel, all different stuff like this. Then I started this manifesting journey, and I can definitely say that it's all happening.
I use so I have to find different words that feel better for me. So I don't use manifest. It's more like I'm going to create it. Get it.
Yeah.
Make that happen.
Yeah.
I try to explain it in its simplest terms because I anyone who's skeptical, well, I'd probably like, I can't cope with you anyway. I'm just going, we live in this amazing universe and all this magic shit happens and we're just like, anyway. But what I try to say is like, okay, so tell me something you would really want if you won the lottery. And they're like, oh, I'd want a yacht. Okay, right. What yacht would you want? Oh, I don't know. Where would you park it?
Yeah.
Don't know. What would it look like? Don't know. What's the mooring costs for that a year? Don't know. Do you have people working on it? Would you use it so many once a year? And they were like, well, it's not like, I'd have to win the lottery first. I was like, well, okay, so you win the lottery right now. You would still have to go out and buy it. You would have to choose it. You would have to decide where it would be. You'd have to know the costs, the maintenance of it, the upkeep of it. And it's like, so if you did all that first, if you got all that down
absolutely
on paper to know exactly what the ongoing costs were, where it would be, the size of it, the running of it, the only thing you would need after that is the money.
Yeah.
And then sure, that would come once you knew that was
happening. This is like me having a Zoom call about my book. Because, okay, I'm not going to write a book next week, but in 5 years' time, I'm going to publish a book.
Exactly.
But I need to know the steps of how to do it. Hence the reason I would, go on a Zoom call last week.
I've got is it a course or like a really fat PDF download I'll send you. It's on self-publishing.
Oh, okay, amazing.
Jen Sincero.
Right, okay.
Yeah, really like her. She's the one who's You're a Badass.
Yeah,
that one. Yeah. So I've got that. That is really cool. And actually, is yours going to be obviously non-fiction?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't realise this, but with non-fiction, you have to pretty much, like, so you don't send a story to them. It's like you pretty much have stepped it all out completely. Yeah. So then it's really easy just to knock it out because you've planned it all in place.
Planned it all,
chapters, how it's going to flow, what it's going to hit. You've researched everything to do with it. So apparently when you're doing non-fiction, if you get to that stage, writing it's really easy because you've planned it out to such a T. I mean, I've always wanted to do that. I also as well, there's, is it Substack? Going on. So it's basically for writers. And you have subscriptions and followers, and you can just write your stuff and put it out on there and see if you can hit a nerve and see what people are into. And it's good to get an audience.
I mean, like I say, 5-year plan.
5-year plan. How old will you be in 5 years?
40. 35 this year.
I'll be 50.
But I think that all this like self-love, and I actually went, we were on a family holiday in July, and my husband had he just been, he'd been away to the World Superbikes or something, and then there was an opportunity had come up for me to go away with some friends, and I sat on the balcony and I said to him, he said, "Oh, you're going to go?" And I was like, I just feel like if I was going to have a week away from you and the kids, I don't want to do that. I want to go on a retreat. I want to go on my own, go somewhere where I'm fed, I'm watered, I'm doing all of these things that I like, that I'm interested in.
Did you feel social pressure though to do it?
No.
Because I think people would felt really conflicted.
I would have. Yeah, I would have. But again, I think I was into my journey of this, like, saying no and respecting myself and what I wanted, that I just honestly text back and said, I'm going to say no. And then, so my husband, being the supportive husband is, he just went, all right, well, look for one. And I was like, well, I kind of already know the one that I want to go on. And then anyway, the first week of November, I went, and that was for me like the biggest turning point. That was when I was like, I know that I am on the right path, and that
do you know what I say to people, like, because it's a big deal to do that on your own, but it's absolutely huge, and I massively recommend it. But what I'd say is, if that is a little bit scary, go out to dinner on your own.
Yeah, do things on your own.
Yeah,
do things on your own. I love going for a coffee on my own.
Yeah, I do it all the time, and I don't even think about it now. And whereas I know that a lot of people, do you know where this came from? I was thinking, when, again, we probably go out in groups when you were younger.
Yeah.
And everyone goes to the toilet together.
Yeah.
And it always grated on me, and that is the reason why. And it's like, you come in, I'm going, no, I don't need a wee. No, but we're going to. I'm fine. But you'll be here on your own or talking to the boys. I'm like, I'm fine. Yeah. So maybe that's where it came from. And then when I was traveling a lot for work, so I was an air hostess for quite a few years. And obviously you'd be down room, and sometimes you'd be on your own. Yeah. So I would go to the cinema on my own. Yeah. I'd walk around on my own, and I just felt so free.
There's something, I mean, when you've had holidays with young kids and then getting on an aeroplane on my own with this one little bag, I was like, with my book, oh my God, no one's saying my name. And everyone had like joked, because obviously, as you'll be able to tell from this podcast, I like to talk, but everybody had said to me, oh, you'll be talking the person's ear off next year. I did not speak to the woman till we come into land, because I just was in my own little thing of sitting. I read my book, and and I had the most amazing week. And on the plane on the way back, I didn't listen to any music. I did nothing but journal, and I wrote down everything and anything I could remember from the week. And I had been journaling while I was there, but we did this little workshop the morning before we left, and we had to whisper in each person's ear something that we'd like learnt about them. So I mean, that obviously you kind of have to be there because it sounds a little bit, oh, and I remember them saying that's what we were going to do. I remember thinking, oh, because there was 11 other women. I remember thinking, oh, I don't really know what I'm going to say. But actually, when you came to that person, you knew what to say. And the two coaches, the yoga teacher and the two chefs, which were two young girls, they were in it as well. And so then on the reverse side of that, you had 15 women saying something in your ear of basically how amazing you were and all the rest of it. And so many of them said how much I'd helped them, and the coach, and she was like, oh, you're the coach of the coach of the coach, like, you've got a shining light, you've got to shine bright, you've got to go do this. And when I came back, that's when I thought, yeah, I want to help women to, go on that journey of self-development and to really find out who they are and start living their like most authentic life, just like I have, which is how I've then ended up with this scholarship to do my life coaching training. So
what would you call it though, instead of life coaching? Because I know you're a bit like life coaching.
Yeah,
what would you call it?
I don't know. Like I would love.
It's just going to give you like structure to knowing what you want to do, isn't it?
Mentor seems too heavy as well. I don't know. I mean, the girl that I've worked with for a year, she's not keen on the whole life coach terminology, but she has coached me with my life. I don't know what the word is.
I suppose because I'm so big on words, and I don't. I don't even like the word goals for some reason. I think I associate with football. I don't. know. I was more like desires, things that I want. Yeah, because I always think so with like everyone's got life experience, but not everyone can be a life coach.
Yeah.
But with you talking now, I'm like going, yeah, I just said that about you from the minute I met you. Yeah, you're the right.
Yeah.
It's what you need to do. I will warn you, you have to drag them kicking and screaming sometimes. It's very like, it's pulling teeth. But once you get anyone, like even just, one person with a breakthrough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I think that's, so what I have started doing is, so me and my business partner have a salon, but then we also have the upstairs of the building. So we've got some rooms that we rent out to beauticians, but then we've got this gorgeous rustic big room that's really just not doing anything. So we've been hosting these like long table dinners. So it's to try and encourage women as well to come on their own. Because then as soon as you walk in the room... Are they doing
that?
Yeah.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, they are. The event that we've got coming up next month, the people that have booked on so far are coming actually together. We haven't got...
Right.
Oh, no, there's one girl, sorry, who's like a booking on her own. But we do really encourage that. And the previous dinners has been that people coming on their own.
Can I come?
Yes. Oh, you'd love it. It's really nice.
And I get fed as well?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And then, so we've got an amazing guest speaker coming to this next one, who's actually an old friend of mine, but she lives in Canada, and this is what she does for work. She does these long table dinners, business networking, and just women connecting together. So it's going to be really special, this next one. But so in that room as well, I have been doing these masterclasses on like manifesting and giving them tasks of like doing a life wheel, getting a bird's eye view on their life, where they are with things, and reflecting, giving them time to reflect.
My life wheel's chaotic. It's like...
which I've actually had such good feedback from the manifest one that I'm taking that to Zoom. So my next one's going to be, because as well, I want it to be for anybody, like, and it is daunting to come to a place that you've never been before, you don't know anybody, it's upstairs, it's so I think that was my other thing for doing that. But my next in-person masterclass is a self-love one, so it's called Bloom Into You.
Bloom Into You. Well, we all need a bit of that, don't we?
And it's around the spring equinox, so so I'm busy.
Yeah, it sounds it, but I'm loving this renewed purpose, passion, and it just, I feel that sometimes we all need to listen to this or speak to someone, because there are times, I'll be quite honest, when I'm just surrounded by negativity.
Yeah.
And I also find that when I do, it's very rare now, but if I do work with a client, I give everything to it, and I feel like my soul has been sucked by the end of it. So it's almost like, it's like regenerating, it's like it's uplifting. I was going to say, what did you find was so obviously we talk about shifting, big shifts, but a lot of people are really scared to, like, they literally have to either be pushed or jump.
Yeah.
And clearly that's something you've always been able to do. I will do it eventually.
I think the biggest thing was the just been these massive things that were happening all the time, or what felt like all the time, you know, the grief, and it even just, I used to, and it's actually just come to me now. I have not said this for so long, but I used to always say, oh, it would only happen to me. Oh, it would only happen to me. Always say that.
It's victimy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like now, that is just crazy. It just would never come out of my mouth, because I am really grateful for any. That's one thing that I would say my biggest take away from the last 12 months of my journey is gratitude. I am so grateful. Like, I am constantly grateful all the time. You know, go back to me saying about parenting being miserable and magical rolled into one. But I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that I get that them miserable moments, and I'm so grateful that I get the magical moments. And I think gratitude and being grateful, it puts you in the most amazing stead for other things.
Yeah.
But again, the self-love. You can't be grateful.
It's on a cellular level though, isn't it? So we do it on here, again, with words. Don't do grateful.
Yeah.
I do thankful, because grateful's like, because of the way I was brought up, it's like, I'm so grateful. Yeah. So I'm thankful. Yeah. But I do, we call like the dark mirror version.
Okay.
It's a little bit controversial, but I always, so to get in that place of thankfulness, I have to life without it, so, which then makes me feel shit, so then I can feel thankful. So what I mean by that is, okay, so imagine no heat and no hot water because the boiler's packed in for the day. Really imagine it. Imagine getting up and you and you stink and you really need to have a wash, and the house is effing freezing, and it's just such a massive inconvenience. I mean, it doesn't matter in the grand scale of things, but in that moment it is real, and you just be like, oh. And we're not thankful for it enough, are we? And we take it for granted. So then sometimes I go very extreme.
Yeah.
I'll go like when my kids are kicking off about being picky or this or whatever. And I go, hang on a minute. Imagine being in a war zone with them and not being able to have a choice for their food and things like that. And people go, you shouldn't think like that because you bring it into existence. I'm not. No. I've just got to get into that place to imagine what I've got. I've got to compare it. And I can go, but I do have this, I do have these choices, I do have that. And then suddenly I feel thankful, and it just elevates you to such a level. And I've used it as like a healing technique. I do it all the time on here for all the ladies like suffering with the hormones, depression, everything. I'll go, if there's anything you can do, just try and just be into a state of thankfulness just for one thing. It can be so random. And it, honestly, it will. It takes the edge.
It does. I think it's... Even, well, we're not thankful for ourselves, are we? And that's where the self-love again, like that, you know, really being thankful for being a woman. Like, I mean, it's hard, but I'd rather be a woman.
I was gonna say, you know, because that's what drives me with, it's like her shift, and we were obviously talking about mental health, men, women. And I really do, like, I'm very honest about this. It is controversial, but my partner does agree with me. I go, I mean, you're physically stronger than me all day long, right? Yeah. But wouldn't you say that women are mentally stronger? Yeah. It's almost like we're not aware that we've got options.
No.
We haven't got a way out. We have to get on with it. And whether that's conditioning or generational thing, but we do. And thank God we do.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
What would happen?
Well, absolutely.
You know,
that's it, isn't it? That is it.
One of the things that I'm thinking, my shifts and what my realizations have been, and obviously there was that, obviously there's so much about self-worth, self-love, and, you know, from an inside and all that. But it sounds like quite a superficial thing, but there's one thing I've really wanted to focus on is financial and wealth for women, because realizing what a tool it is.
Yeah.
And it scares me, the conversations I have when people are so, it upset like with clients or whatever when they don't know about money. And it's like they're not educated on it, but also they relinquish that control to a partner or family.
Yeah.
That really scares me. And if there's one thing I could just make the norm for women, it's just to have that level of knowledge, to know, like, if you don't want money, that's fine, but just to know about it.
Yeah.
And also to think where you would be with this. And also imagine how many options that would unlock for them.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
Even to have that. Because a lot of the time I hear, well, I'd love to go to one of these long table dinners. I'd love to do a manifesting course, but money. I'm like, yeah, but it's a vicious cycle, isn't
and I
it?
think
It's like,
is someone in that instance that would, again, it's because they wouldn't feel that they could. So say, like, as an example, the next manifest Zoom thing is £15 a ticket. Well, if you can't justify spending £15 on yourself, I think next time you go in the supermarket, you just have to look at what you've spent £15 on. Like, £15 just literally goes nowhere these days.
No.
But the tools that you're given on something like that, and again,
it's an investment.
It is a massive investment, and I always say, like, investment to yourself and how much it is, because I strongly believe that is it. But it takes, it takes some time. I know with me, like, don't get me wrong, this whole like well-being world is expensive. Like, I do the sauna and the sea dipping, I do a monthly sound bath, my coaching that I've done. But it's an investment.
Yeah.
And I don't go out drinking anymore and spending money, that way.
And was the wine an investment to your body?
No, and this is it. And this is where I think, like, your behaviours start to align, because I realised that alcohol was bringing me nothing ever. And it was my self-sabotage, which I think a lot of people would probably be able to say that about alcohol. You've had a bad day, you have a glass of wine. But for me, I mean, I just didn't know my limits. Like, let's just drink to get absolutely, and then I'm rough the next day, so ill. And then I miss that day. And especially after having the children, you can't miss a day.
Do you feel a little bit judged, maybe, when you make that decision to go teetotal? Do you feel... I know you don't care what people think.
Yeah, but I think in the beginning, like, it was hard. Because as well, I was like, do I want to be teetotal? Like, I knew that, like, a big thing for me is my hangovers have always been so bad. And in April of 2025, another hangover, like, this hangover day, and was out for a walk with my husband and the kids, and he turned and he looked at me as I'm, like, shaking because I've been sick in a bush or something ridiculous while I'm out for a walk with my family. And he turned and he looked at me and said, I don't think I would drink if I got like this. And I just went, ting, light bulb moment. Yeah. Why am I doing it? Because I am a really outgoing person. I don't need, like, I could go out to a nightclub and have an amazing time and drink nothing but water, because I'm really fortunate that I've got that personality. So why am I, like, poisoning myself, essentially? Because I must be allergic, because I've never known anyone have hangovers quite as bad as mine.
I don't think, from what I've studied, that alcohol does work well, like the tannins with women's hormones.
No, I think that's another... Yeah, I actually think that if I was, say, having a good drink on, like, around the time of the month, then, like, it all...
I am fascinated by anyone's relationship with alcohol, especially women, because I all think it is like an overall layer that makes up our journey. Mine is extremely complicated, and I'm going the other way, as in my tight friendship group is actually now trying to get me back into having a drink and feeling safe.
Okay.
Because, so for the longest time, so I would see groups of friends, like yours in the hairdressing industry, the girls that we know together, and I'd be like, that's really nice, but I wouldn't feel safe.
Okay.
And that's because, obviously, so within my marriage, like, alcohol was a big problem. Yeah. And that's when the problems were. And it's interesting that Bob said to you, if I was that ill, I would drink. So I could never get my head around, was like, if I behaved to such an extent, we're talking like very negative, nasty behaviour, and lethal hangovers.
Yeah.
Every single time. Yeah. And you can't stop, right? Yeah. I just would never do it again. No. That would be it.
Yeah.
And I could never get my head around that. And also, because of this person drinking, I could therefore never drink. It was not safe for me to do so. I've got to be on the peripheral. I've got to be watching. I've got to be safe. And then equally, when I'd see other people drinking, I would feel like almost there'd be like a barrier between us.
Yeah.
And I thought, I cannot be friends with you. You won't accept me. Now, what happened in the mummy group? So when my daughter was younger, I was actually pretty much kicked out because I was not the sort of mum after school to go down the boy. You know, because and I was actually, you know, like I was actually called weird, you know, for not having a drink. And I just wanted to say, I just don't feel safe. And also, I don't know you that well. I don't trust you. Are you going to look after me if I, you know? So,
you know, that's the thing, isn't it? Alcohol is a drug.
Yeah.
And it is. But if you're going to drink alcohol, you are making yourself vulnerable, which is fine if you're in a safe place. So, you know, that is definitely not a reason why I would have stopped it. My main reason is because my hangover so bad. And I was wasting days. And like life's so short, and I've learned that really hard over the last couple of years. But then equally, it wasn't aligning with where I wanted to go with my life and where I'm going with my life, because to be hungover on the Sunday meant that I was then behind, and then Monday didn't feel as productive, and it would take me till Wednesday to pull it back around.
There's nothing good comes of it.
No, well, I say that all the time.
And it is interesting, like my partner's really honest, and he'll say, like, if we're like a big social event, he's like, 1 or 2 just to relax me. And it's not a problem with him, and it's fine. Whereas I'm probably like you, like I just don't feel that's gonna.
I don't feel the need. That's it, isn't it? And
insular, actually. If I get to a certain point with drinking, I mean,
where you go mute.
Yeah, I'm in the corner, like. I went to actually. So again, because they're trying to get me into drinking, I went to a pottery class. It was bring your own bottle. So I was in your painting the pottery, and I was 1 bottle of rosé down, and going, this is great. It was not great after not sleeping, because it doesn't let you sleep.
That's mad.
So you slept. Like, craving McDonald's. No, I think we're going to do this more gradually, and I think there's going to have to be limits on this. And you don't drink and paint pottery.
I mean, I never say never, but that's one thing. So the Wholesome Hideaway is the business where we're doing these long table dinners, and the room, and my business partner, she like drinks, and like I've never say never. Like Valentine's night, I had a glass of red wine. Christmas Day, I had a glass of red. Like I'd gone to London with some friends in January, had a glass of champagne. Like never say never, but to me, it's I'd never want a hangover again.
Yeah.
So, but with this space upstairs, I said to my business partner, I don't want us to serve alcohol. And I said, that's not because I'm not drinking at the minute. That's because I feel as if in an environment where you're gathering women that are maybe coming on their own,
and they're going to reach for the
very
drink.
easy for them. So, brilliant example. My mum came to our long table dinner in October, and my mum's a really bubbly person, but obviously since she lost my stepdad, you know, I would say she has had and is having still very ups and downs of grief and everything. And so I would say it was a time that maybe she wasn't in a great place. And she came, and I gave her a glass of fizz, no secco. And she went, is this Prosecco? And I was like, no, it's no secco. She was like, oh. And I could feel the anxiousness coming off her, because she wanted that glass of Prosecco.
You could have done it like the placebo effect, though.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. But yeah, so it's a gorgeous evening, but it is no alcohol, because otherwise you're going to wake up the next day and not remember the conversations and connections.
Sen, is it? It's just not going to feel best.
The feedback that we'd had from everybody who's been to the long table dinners, like they'd said the next day, like they'd more or less everybody gets back the next day with some feedback, because they're buzzing, and that's what it's all about.
And natural, and it's not come out of it's. I think it's a British thing as well. Like when I've been talking about this, and like a lot of the people over the pond are very much like, you guys have got such an issue with alcohol.
I know.
I don't think it's us. I think it's our generation. I was like, because my daughter Kate, like they're just not.
Yeah, no, there's like that's what the
probably
next.
Can't afford it. To
well,
be quite
no, that's it. Like, they don't seem like the pubs like, that's just what we did, like, from being
Yeah.
16, going
Like,
in the
she loves
pubs
going
and
out, like music and all that,
yeah.
but she doesn't, from what I know,
No,
come home smashed. So it
no,
must just be us. I was going to say, have you seen all these throwbacks from the 90s?
no. What, like on social media? Oh,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
I'm thinking, yeah, it was all, so many memories and no photos. Isn't
Yeah,
it good?
no photo.
No evidence.
That's it, isn't it?
But I think, yeah, it's interesting that our bodies can handle it definitely when we're younger. And I'd
Yeah,
say
yeah.
definitely, and it's just like you said, at certain times of the month, I think the moon as well.
Yeah, or the moon
It-
massively affects
yeah.
me. Last week, like on the full moon, I got a migraine. Like it was so, I don't know. I do think it was a little wake up call of like, and maybe was getting into that motion again where I was just, because obviously you can hear that I'm like passionate and I just
Yeah.
want everything now and like, but I think it was just a bit of a, right, just
I think that,
take
like,
a breath.
if the moon and if the solar system affects, was it turtles giving birth?
Oh,
And the
yeah,
pull of
yeah.
of course it's going to
Yeah, of
affect us.
course it does.
Like, from what I know with the police, he would always say, oh,
Yeah,
full moon tonight.
absolutely.
You know,
Yeah, of
and it's
course.
so true.
It is so true. It is so true. Yeah, I love the
I'm going
moon.
to show you my app. I don't know if you've seen this to do with people's cycles.
Oh,
Yeah. And it's Stardust, because we're all Stardust, aren't we?
right, okay.
So I'm going to show you my cycle, Amelia. But look, so then it's almost like saying that we can't all have our periods at the same time because we would be vulnerable if we did.
Yeah,
So that's why it's all
course.
spaced out. So that's obviously, whereas the full moon was there, and my period's going to finish on when the moon disappears.
Yeah.
Look at that. There's all my luteal, all the hormones.
Oh my God, I need to get
It's
that.
cool, isn't it?
Yeah, really
I
good.
mean, because I'm perimenopausal, like you can see, yeah, it's weird. Like I go from having a 20-day cycle to a 50-day cycle.
Wow.
Is yeah, 40.
The joys.
Absolutely. So obviously you've talked about your long table dinners.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
Did you say you've got a hub or a program or something that people can be part of as
So
well?
there's upstairs, like the hideaway hub. So we've got some self-employed girls that work upstairs, and then this room, the wholesome hideaway, is where we're doing these events. So we've got weekly yoga starting, monthly sound baths, and then I've been doing these master classes. But it's open for hire as well, the room. So we're
Brilliant.
hoping to get some more people that want to come.
And you're going to be doing, is it the manifestation classes on Zoom?
Yeah.
Give more people have access
Yeah,
to
just
them.
I think the feedback was really good, and I've through social media you connect with people, don't you? And some of the girls that I'd met on the retreat, and a few people had sort of said, oh, if you did it on Zoom, and I just thought, oh, so I did it the other night with some friends. And there was just like 3 of my girlfriends, and we went on Zoom and I did one of my classes, and they were like, yeah, go for it. So I'm going to do one at the end of the month.
I was going to say, because this whole you being here in the room is quite rare these days.
Yeah,
Everyone
it
does
is.
it, you know,
And it's funny because I've been a hairdresser for 20 years, so I've been around women for like one-on-one. And when I first thought about becoming a life coach, I thought, right, I want to see people one-on-one, but then obviously that's limiting me because I'm then only getting people who are going to travel. But then actually from spending a lot more, because my job has always been face to face, but then since this last year and doing different things, and I've done a lot on Zoom myself, like different masterclasses, webinars, that kind of thing, and realising that actually, you know what, you still feel really connected and you still get the same. Okay, there's not the touch, but you still get that, I don't know, connection through the camera.
I just feel like there's actually people I would say are my good friends now.
Yeah.
I've never met them. I hope one day I do, but we might not. And that's okay. And isn't that crazy? And it's like, and they're the best cheerleaders I think in the world, are the ones that you meet or who just you connect with on social media, and there's no reason for them to support you other than the fact that
they like you and they like what you. Yeah, I've made 2 really strong connections through Instagram, and one of them, Wendy, her daughters are only a couple of years like younger than me. She's an EFT practitioner,
right,
the tapping and stuff. Yeah. And
yeah.
she reached out to me and just said, like, I've loved your content, like I love your energy. She was like, could we have a coffee? And I thought she was local, so oh yeah, of course. And she was like, Zoom, and I was like, yeah, okay. And then we just had the most amazing chat. And again, I mean, age is nothing, like, to, you know, people say age is not just a number, but that was another thing from the retreat. When we introduced ourselves, we weren't to say our age.
Yeah,
so, and I thought that was not, so your name, not what you did for work, and not your age. And it was hard because when someone said, so when it got to your turn, hi, my name's Amelia. And then it was like, oh, because you went to say, or I went to say, I'm a hairdresser, I'm 34, whatever. But you weren't to say that. And it was, you know, your name. And then, because actually what we do for a living and our age doesn't define who we are, does it?
I said to you, before we went on, I said, oh, when did we meet? And, you know, the years. And I said, oh, I just always felt like I was too old for you lot, didn't I? She said, I said, I never felt judged. I said, but I just felt I was just, you know,
but then I never felt that. I always knew you were older than me, but not in like a old type thing, just that you were old. But I always like totally admired and thought, oh, she's like businesswoman, like she's got it all, you know, like, and like really was in awe of that, and not of like an age thing, just that you were more experienced and you know.
But then I was like meeting you in your early 20s, wouldn't you? You'd be very, or you maybe 20 even?
Yeah.
2012. How old were you?
Oh God, how old? Yeah, 21.
Yeah, and you were a manager at that point, so I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So something. This is not the Gisborough usual.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
My mum's always said I've been here before. I'm like one of them that, I love people. I think that's...
You see, there's a picture in that bookcase and we can get your head round.
Oh, okay.
You can see who that is. Do you know who that is?
No, I can't see properly, actually.
So it's not from Bridgerton. It looks like it is. So if you want to have a quick look.
Is it you?
Well, that... I've been here a few times, apparently.
Oh, wow.
And some of them haven't been great. But that one, you're in, Catherine the Great.
Oh.
Russian Empress.
What? And apparently that was...
So a past life. Like, you know, when you just always know that there's so much, there's things you can just tap into, wisdom, there's experience. And I actually spoke to somebody, very interesting guy. I only spoke to him on the phone, so it wasn't even Zoom.
Yeah.
And it was so bizarre because at one point I was fighting the communication and he started choking on the other end.
Wow.
Like, it was like I was blocking him so much. And he's like, can you just please stop? Just let me access your, you know, whatever it is, your aura or whatever.
Yeah.
Because he was actually coughing and spluttering. And then he got really excited. And it was just like, I can see like you owned a lot of ships and you were a leader. And then he was like, and he came back to me after because he had to go back and apparently assess it and think where was this from. And I was like, Catherine the Great. Like, right. And I was like, not bad.
Very fitting to have that picture in your office.
Yeah, so I went and got that. But then when I watched the series on Catherine the Great.
Oh, right, okay.
And then read about her as well. And yeah, she was amazing and she was ruler. She was the one who expanded Russia to its almost like current size.
Yeah.
She took over from her total gimp husband, from what I can see. But because of who she was, they absolutely all, the men, the stories they would tell about her. Yeah. So you know, like how Elizabeth I was basically stone cold, the Virgin Queen, and she had to pretend to be a man basically to get through life. Catherine, she was like, nah. And they persecuted her for that reason. She was amazing. Wow. She was successful. She won war. But she had a lot of relationships and that was like her downfall, and that was how they choose to talk about her in history.
Wow.
As like a loose woman.
Wow.
So yeah, but that is like, I've like read this on here before. I'm like, I've talked about some of my past lives. I've also been a broker in the 80s on Wall Street. There we go. I knew that because I loved Working Girl, the film, so much. But yeah, so that's why she sits in my office. But I always like, no one's like, if it's someone's first rodeo or not, I can tell, like when I've worked with clients or whatever, if they've been, I don't know, there's something about them. Do you kind of get that when you've worked with like your clients in hairdressing?
Yeah, like I think I've
Bit
got
wet behind the ears.
yeah,
Sometimes.
yeah. I've got a good intuition.
Yes, intuition. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I always say, like, oh, my business partner always values my opinion on stuff because I can be like, no, that's not going to be a good idea, or that. And she is my biggest cheerleader, and another reason why I'm going on to do this qualification with my life coaching, because she reckons that I've totally transformed her life, which I haven't. It's just that I gave her the powers to believe in herself.
She would probably still be where she was, I think, if our paths hadn't crossed.
Yeah, that's how she feels, definitely. Like, but I think again, it's just helping women to see their potential, and
But equally, I get so, I would say, grated on when they don't see their potential, or I see wasted potential, or I see people blocking it.
Yeah, I think again, because change is scary and change is hard, and so people aren't always up for it.
It's the key to life, though.
Yeah,
stagnancy is not growth.
In my manifesting class, not so much in the self-love one, but in the manifesting masterclass, it in a way doesn't give you option to hide from that, in the sense of it's giving you this bird's eye view of the areas of your life. And so it's then looking down and going, all right, so you score, we begin by you doing your desires, but then you are going to do your life wheel and you're scoring different areas of your life out of 10. And then as they've completed it and they're looking, that's when I would say, okay, so if anybody, obviously we don't share, it's totally personal to them. If anybody is scored anything 5 and below, and then you can obviously see a few people, I'm like, why are you living a 5 out of 10 life? Why are you living?
And then do they get sometimes defensive? Like,
I think because it'd be interesting, but because they're there and they've actually come,
you know that
I know that there's something there, isn't there? But I think Zoom, hopefully it'll open up to people that maybe wouldn't have the confidence to come, but it's in their own home. They don't need to be on camera. They don't need to, talk or anything like that. But why are you living a 5 out of 10 life? And interestingly, my husband, it took me a while, but I got him to do this life wheel thing, and he scored loads of stuff, like the top thing that he'd scored was our relationship, but I think that was probably because he knew I was going to look at it. But
it's not daft, is it?
Yeah,
no.
But I'd said to him, like, oh, why is that a 4 out of 10? Why, it was something like hobbies and something else. I was like, well, do something about it then. Like, why are you living? If that's truly how you feel about that area of your life, do it, change it. Like, but we never sit down for long enough to actually go, oh, well, actually, I do think that area of my life is a 4 out of 10 or whatever it may be.
And then, of course, there are the people that don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do envy them for split seconds, just to have that level of ignorance, to be like, yeah, whatever, I really do. But one of the saddest things I heard, and it was from my own partner, and because I think you can either be, close to enlightenment, really happy, that level. Yeah. You can be absolute rock bottom, but I think there's a worse place to be.
In the middle.
And it's the midpoint. And he described it. It still makes me go, oh, when he says it was, when we met, he said I was neither happy nor unhappy. And it makes me go,
Yeah, it's just not the way to live your life.
And he would have just, it was just
my oldest friend, her dad sadly passed away 6 years ago. His motto in life was, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. And it's really true, because actually, and I feel like I've learnt this over the last 5 years, my stepdad was 57. My granddad, bless him, was 87. And my granddad was absolutely desperate to be 97. Like, he would have wanted to and would have lived forever. And I think you don't know and I know that this is going a bit deep and it could be morbid, but actually, if you've just lived your last day, was it enough?
Again, I go down that route and I'm told off for it because I use mortality for that reason because it helps me. Also, I have lost so many people in my life and from quite a young age. And I know that when that happens, I can't cope when people go the other way and stick their head in the sand.
Yeah.
I go full powerhouse.
Yeah.
Like, I literally got rid of the worst people in my life and literally said what I wanted to say. And it was so my dad died when I was 15, but I had a godfather and he died 3 years ago, and he was, you know, such a lovely man. And he was literally in his last few hours. He was in hospital. He had lung cancer. And it was one of those, what the F is everyone going on about? It was just one of those realizations. And it was like there were people close to me giving me shit, saying horrible things, being very negative. And I just turned around and was just like, said everything I wanted to say, walked out, and then I went to see him in hospital. And I've just had enough. And it's just like that realization. And it's so grounding to me, mortality. It's such a wake up. It's such a, I've got this good one I've talked about on here before, and I use this. So imagine you get to the end of your life.
Yeah.
Oh, what's a good age these days? 80s, 90s, I don't know. You're in hospital. You're okay. And the God, the spirit, the Grim Reaper, I don't know who you're into, comes to say to you and go, you had a good life. You're happy. You're fulfilled. And you're going to go, so how old are you? 34 now. I go, I'll tell you what, I can take you back to 34. So you're in your 80s now. I can take you back to 34. And you wake up and you get to live to how many, 50 odd years again. Here's the deal, right? You're not going to know. So I'm thinking then every day when I wake up, what if I have got to the end of my life and I've been sent back?
And you've been given the chance.
Yeah, but that's the deal. You do not know you've been given the chance.
Yeah.
Would you then chance it? Would you waste it?
Yeah, well, it's like when I think about the events that have happened in my life over the last definitely like 5 years, from COVID, really, like from that time. So what is that? 6 years now, is it? When I think about all of these like major life things, there was loads of times when, you know, I could have decided to not, you know, do what I've done.
Yeah.
I mean, a massive inspiration for me is my friend who lost her husband, and she's got these 3 young kids, and, you know, we often talk about it, and she says, like, you know, what was her alternative? She's got these 3 children and she has to get on with it, but it's hard and every day is hard. But I always think, and there's always somebody worse off than yourself. So it's like, you know, I'll be honest, I don't read the news. I don't engage in anything on socials or on the internet. My mum says to me, do you live under a rock? What do you talk to people about? You don't know what's going on in the world. But I'm quite happy with that. But I do know that there is people a lot worse off than me. And even these war me situations that I've had over the last couple of years, there'll have always been somebody worse off. And that's one thing that I use.
I always
often
say, like, we can always make that comparison. We say we never compare traumas.
No.
I'm not in for that. A trauma's a trauma. It doesn't matter what that is. But absolutely, there always will be. There absolutely always will be.
Because if you go there with, oh, my trauma is worse than anybody else's, how are you getting out? Do you know what I mean?
So we've got to grade it.
Yeah, like how exactly, you know. And I think another thing that I would always say is, like, traumas, no matter how bad and, you know, sometimes it's unfortunate that you've been in that situation, but they make you stronger. You're learning, they give you life experiences to become something better, I think.
I've talked about this on here before, so I view life as the sauce options on the Nando's menu. So imagine I think, you know, we have an experience on Earth. So we're somewhere else, they go, here's your menu before you have your experience on Earth. What are you thinking? I mean, you can have the garlic and lemon, but not a lot will happen. But you'll be okay, right? I mean, if you really want to live, go for the hot sauce. Well, that'll be fun. No, it'll be really hard, but you'll get to experience loads and then you can learn from it. what if I can't hack it? Well, you might not be able to, but go, okay, I'll go for the hot sauce. You went for the hot sauce, didn't you?
Do you know what's really interesting about that? 5 years ago, I'd have got lemon and herb or whatever it is from Nando's, but actually, we eat really, like, we used to get pizza from the pizza shop, chicken and sweet corn. Now I get like an explosive or something,
Really?
which is weird, isn't it? Even like stuff like that has changed. Yeah, that's mad. When you said that straight away, it was like, oh my God, I used to be lemon and herb.
Yeah.
Now I'm like hot and spicy. Come on, bring it on.
And here's the thing, that once you've gone to hot and spicy, you can't go back to lemon and herb. So
Absolutely not. Absolutely
it's
not.
like you have to stick by your hot sauce choices.
Oh,
I love, it's like I love an analogy for life, and for self-growth and stuff. And some of them do sound a bit bonkers on here, but
I love
people do know what I mean. So we're going to put your handle in the summary as well. So for the Hideaway Hub, which obviously you're going to go online so people can just actually, if you want to come to Gisborough,
you're more than welcome.
That's fine, but we'll do that.
So my Amelia Rose page has got all of like the masterclasses and stuff on, and then so maybe do that.
Amelia's also a really amazing hairdresser, so if you want to
that's my day job. I don't know what well, I do that part-time and then I do all of this other stuff. And it's funny because people keep saying to me, do you think you're going to leave hairdressing? And I'm like, I don't know, like I can't imagine it, but then I equally feel like hairdressing might become my hobby, where I'm maybe doing that like 1 or 2 days a week, and then I'm doing all of this other stuff the rest.
Do you know that since I've announced my retirement from makeup, I now feel the urge to just do it for fun, like to just go on tutorials online. Don't quote me on it.
Yeah, no.
But suddenly there doesn't feel like that
like pressure.
To do it. And isn't it interesting that people that work with people one-on-one often go into this field of work and work with women, because you just become like hairdressers, nail techs, beauty people.
Yeah,
they're just the best
therapists as well.
They
Absolutely.
Really
yeah, 100%.
I get my nails done on repeat to have
that
the talk,
time.
the therapy.
Yeah.
You know, I love Teresa who does it for me, but it's just I can't explain it.
I know, absolutely. Yeah, we do, come from a good industry in that sense. I mean, I'm not hanging up my scissors anytime soon. Let's just put it that way.
Mind you, it's not like you could suddenly just stop, is it? You just know. And equally, there are people that should never pick up a pair of scissors in their life. You know who we're talking about. Anyway, so we'll put all your information in the summary. We've got your handle, we've got your website, we've got the masterclasses, we've got the in-person long table, dinner things. And you know what? If I've actually got a free evening, I will be going to that. Because that sounds amazing. And no alcohol. And also I can just walk.
Absolutely.
Just walk around the corner, so that'll be really, really good. And I think we should definitely have you back on here.
Oh, I'd love to.
Really, really
I've
soon.
absolutely loved it. I've loved it.
And I'm just loving having someone actually in the room with me and like going, oh, what time is it? Like I've just done one with someone in Australia, and I say I can't do mornings. I'm not a morning person, so she had to do the morning.
Okay.
So it's 6 a.m. for her. And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, it's fine. But then it's like, so this is like it's just different, isn't it? The energy's different. I really like it. So we're going to do that again soon. I'm going to say, if you want to come on this podcast, please come on this podcast.
Yeah,
right? If you want to do it, just do it. Honestly, I'm really nice. I'm not scary. You can edit stuff out, maybe, if you want to. Any questions, please, of course, inbox me, DMs are always open. I will always get back to you. You know I'm a fan of the voice notes.
Oh, I love a voice note.
Yeah, so I will send you an extended voice note. And as always, I will say, please keep going. You are doing amazing. You are stronger than you think. Please keep believing in yourself. And as always, sending all my love.
Bye.
Ta-da.